Hi, welcome to today's class. I'm Hassan Sunusi Kenny by name, popularly known as Engineer Kenny. So in today's class, we are going to learn some things, which is on variable in programming language or in Python programming language. So today we are going to learn different things, different items, whereby we're going to learn the variables in Python. We're going to learn rules for naming variables, assigning values, multiple assignment, naming convention, and finally, we are going to run up with a practice exercise whereby each and every one of you is expected to do a practice to write a program that will do a certain kind of task. So now let's jump in on knowing and understanding what a variable is all about. So in Python programming language, we have a variable not only in Python, rather in each and every of the programming languages, they have what we call a variable. But to be specific, we are going to discuss on Python here. So in Python, when we say a variable, we can take it or we can assume it to be like a container or a basket. And we said a basket, let's say a basket can contain an orange, apple, tomato, and others, you understand? Or it can either contain a ball, tools, and what I've used. So when we put such kind of items or object in it, so it store that particular item, means if it is orange, it store orange. We can say a basket of orange or a basket of apple or a basket of so item, you understand? So that's how a variable is. A variable store a particular value or an assignment in it. For example, let's say I want to run a program that doesn't contain a variable. So let's write a program. Let's say print, let me write it here. Let's say we want to print, let's say, print in bracket, we have 2 plus 4, for example, 2 plus 7, for example. Now let's run the program and see what will be the output. Boom, we have 9. So let's say we want to print this for multiple lines, multiple times. Let me copy it. Now let me paste it. Let me paste it again. And let me paste it for, let's say, up to 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Boom. So now let's run the program and see what will be the outcome. So here, let me just expand it. You can see here we have 9 as what? As the output. So now whenever we want to make some correction or want to make some changes in this variable, we have to correct each and every one of this line. For example, let's say you want to change 2 to, let's say, to 3 or to 5. I have to come here and change 2 to 5, 2 to 5, 2 to 5, 2 to 5, and 2 to 5. Sorry. 2 to 5. Let me change this one. 2 to 5. Now let's run the program and see our answer. Boom. This is what our output. Now we have from 9 to 12. 12 up to 7 times. So let's say we have thousands of lines here. So we have to what? This means we have to change this 2 or 5 to whatever we want to change it up to what? Thousands times, which is going to consume our time. And as a programmer, always want to make things simpler. So this comes with the aspect or with the idea of having a variable. So the variable is going to store the particular value we want it to store for us. For example, let me get rid of this one. Let me get rid of this one. Sorry, let me take them out. Let me take them out. Let me just tell me to be a variable. Sorry, a comment. So now, let's say we want to have something, let's say my name, for example, equal to, let's say, Mary. And now let's print our result, which is what we have, my name. Boom. Let's run the program. Boom. We have Mary as the output. We have Mary here. You understand this? So that's how the variable works. And let's say if I want to change this Mary, let's say to John, for example, to John, let me just boom, we have John here instead of Mary. And let's say now we want to copy or we want to print this up to a certain number. Let me copy it. Now let me paste it again. Let me paste it. Let me paste it. And let me paste it, for example, let's say up to 5 times. And now I want to print John to be 5 times. So let's click on run. And now let's see the output. We have John, 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 up to what? Up to 5 times. And again, let's say if you want to change it from John, let's say to Hassan, for example, to Hassan. Now, when let's run it, boom, we see Hassan all at once. So this simplifies our work without repeating ourselves or without changing or correcting each and every this line individually by making the correction. Rather, we change only one value or one variable, then it reflects in each of the ever multiple lines we have. So that's how a variable works. So this is what is the value, or we call it the assignment. That's what we assign this value to what? To this particular variable. That's the name. You understand this? So that's what a variable and how we assign it in this. So now let's have the rules and regulations or the rules for naming a variable. So let me just comment all these and keep them for the boom. We have this. So now let's discuss or let's talk on naming variables rules. So for one to name a variable, we have some rules that we have to follow. These are some of them that we can name a variable by starting it with a letter or with an underscore. That's how we can name it. For example, let's say now the first one, I name my variable my name and assign it to be to contain, let's say, Mary in it. So we can use this as a what? As a variable name by what? By starting with a letter. We have M as a letter here. You understand? Or we can use underscore. Let's say my name equal to, let's say, Kani. So we can use this or this one as what? As naming our variable. And whenever we print one of them, we are going to have our answer. So let's print it and see the result. The first one we have my name, and the second one we have, let's say, print, then underscore my name. Let's run the program and see the answer. Boom, we have Mary, we have Kenny. The first one is Mary, and this one is what is Kenny. So we can use a letter at the beginning, or we can start with an underscore as what? By starting it while naming the variable. That's rule number one. And the other rule, we cannot start a variable. We cannot start a variable by what? By using a number. For example, let's say 3, then let's say M, my name, for example. We cannot do this as what? As naming the variable. You understand? You cannot use this as the variable. Why? Because the Python cannot support this while naming a variable. You understand this? So let's take note of this. We cannot start it by using a number. And also, we cannot use some keywords. When we say keywords in Python, we have some reserved keywords or some words that are automatically reserved in that Python. They can use for specific tags in it. For example, we have the for, we have the if, we have the, let's say, else. You understand? We have the elif, we have, let's say, the while and hours. So these are all keywords. We cannot use them as a what? As a variable. For example, we cannot say 4 equal to, let's say, 4 or equal to, let's say, 9. You cannot use this. You understand this? Why? Because 4 is a reserved keyword. You understand? That's why it is what? Colored or printed as what? As this in orange. You understand? So that's what to show you it is a reserved keyword. So you cannot use a keyword as a what? As a variable name. And also, in Python programming, it is a what? It is a case sensitive. When we say case sensitive, meaning that this word, as let's for example, let me say we have my name, you understand, equal to, let's say, Mary, for example, and let's say we have my name, for example, equal to, let's say, John, for example. So we have equal to John. So here what is happening is that these two variables, name and this one, they are both different. This one is different from this one. Why? Because this one has what? Capital N here after the Y, and this one, it has small letter N after the Y. For example, let me run the program and see what will be the answer, just to understand it practically. So now let's say my name. Let me print this one first, and the other one we have print. Then let's say we have my name. So now let's run the program and see what will be our answer. Boom, we have Mary, we have John. You understand? This one, we both pronounce them as what? As my name. This one my name, but this one has a capital letter N, this one has a small letter N. This one has Mary, and this one contains John as the assignment, or as the data, or as the value stored in this particular variable. So that's why we say it is what? Case sensitive. You understand it? So take note, whenever you're naming a variable, make sure you use it in a proper way, just to avoid some typo or some error. So that's for this one. And now we have multiple assignment. If you want to assign a value, we can assign it to a multiple data set or a variable. For example, let me get rid of this one too. Let me comment them all and keep them for a reference purpose. So now let's say we have x, let's say comma y comma z equal to, and we want to assign the value of y to be 3 and the value of y to be 7 and the value of z to be 9. So we separate them by using a comma here. So now let's print it and see and find out what's the value. So to print x, and then the next one we say print y, and then the next one we say print z. Sorry, print z. So now let's run the program and see our result. So it's here we have what? 379 as what? As the output. X here is 3, y is 7, z is what? Is 9. And also we can assign this value to what? To have the same value. For example, let's say we want to say x equal to y equal to z, and then the value will be, let's say, 7. So now let's run the program and see the answer. Boom, we have what? 7, 7, 7. That's x is what? 7, y is 7, and z is 7. So that's for this one. That's what? For multiple assignment, or assigning different value or the same assignment or the same value to each and every of the variables. So now for this, let's go to naming convention. When we say naming convention, we have different ways of naming a variable in programming language, but let's just only discuss on the one used or the one that is recommended in Python programming language. So in Python programming language, we are recommended to use a snake case in naming a variable. When we say snake case, is that let's say we want to have this first, for example, first name, then I will use underscore, then followed by the next word, name, then we say equal to, let's say I want to print Hassan, for example, then print, I will say print first name. So now let's run the program and see our result. Boom, we have Hassan as the output. So what is happening here is that we have first name. That's what we separate the first and the name by using an underscore. So this way we call it what? Snake case. Let me write it here. We call it snake case, naming convention. So this is what we call snake case naming convention. So this is the one that's recommended in Python programming language. So always make sure you use snake case while naming your variable in Python. So with this, let's discuss on some exercises. That's some some practice that we need to do just to test how we understand it. So what I would like you here to do, I would like you just to write a program that will store your name. Let me write it down here. That would store your name, let's say your your favorite color, for example, and then your nickname, for example, and what abuse. And also just write another program that will find the what area of what rectangle. So by using this or by trying this will test the way you understand this and the way you can use a variable and other stuffs. And whenever you want to name your variable, make sure you make it to be readable, not just to go and be writing X, Y, Z without knowing, let's say after some years or after some days, when you come back to your code, you can't be able to recall what those particular value or what particular variable store. So always make sure you make it the way you will understand, even for thousands or some decades. You understand? For example, let's say I write, let's say X, or sorry, Z equal to, let's say, Mary, for example. You understand? And now when I say name, for example, name equal to, let's say, Mary. So this they will both print Mary as the name. But when we say Z, maybe after some years or after some days, you can't recall what this value store or what this variable store. But when you use name or you say first name, for example, definitely you know this one is a what is a first name, or second name, last name, and what type is. So make sure you make good practice of it. Make it readable and hour. So with this, let's call it a day. And then the next one, inshallah, we are going to proceed with other topics in Python programming language.